Glad you could join us today. We're going to be drawing Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the most popular video game characters. And so I'll be running the supplies that you need at the camera down here below. All right, so to start off, Sonic, we're going to draw a big circle for his head right at the middle up here. Just like that. Right at the top third of your paper. Just like that. Okay, so that's Sonic's head. Sonic is a pretty basic character. Shape-wise, he's about 2 ovals and some sticks out for arms and legs. Okay, so now we're gonna be drawing the mouth. The mouth is kind of awkward. It's like a banana, but it's big up here at the cheek. So I recommend starting up at the cheek, right about halfway at that circle, going down, and tapering it off. You see how it gets big up here and skinnier down here. Go all the way up, round it off right there, and then retrace your steps on that one circle, but just about a centimeter outside of it, and work your way all the way back up to the cheek. Just like that, there's Sonic's cheek. This is where his nose will be, and this is where his mouth will rest right there. So go ahead and erase that first original circle right there. Doesn't have to be perfect, like that. We'll go ahead and draw his mouth. So put it right about here in this big spot on his mouth. So first you're gonna bend the mouth up. This is his top lip, just like that. A gradual U, then come pretty hard down like that, and then taper out and stop right before this top line. So there should be a little bit of a space differential between this top part and the bottom part. Then go straight up from there, just like that, and then had 2 lines for the teeth, just like that. That's Sonic's mouth. Okay, now we'll draw his eyebrows and his eyes, which is one of his most defining features. So erase a little bit out here on his right eye and start on the top of his cheek again for his left eye. So start and go up, and you should bend down like that. You should make a big bump and bend down right before his nose. Right there. You see how it's right before his nose? Then come back up again. This will be his right eye. And do the same thing, except have this bend low, about halfway on this. So you'll see here in a second, and have it skinnier. So this bump is about halfway, or half the height of this first right eye. Then come back in on the outside of his right eye, barely outside of it. That's gonna be the side of his head, and it'll come up and go a little bit over so that it can be his first eyebrow on his right eye. Do the same thing over on the left, just like that. There's 2 eyebrows, and then another good feature is this little crease where he's scowling right here. Next, we will draw the nose. It's like a teardrop, just like that, right at the point of his little cheek proportion right there on the tip. Go ahead, fill that in. You can add a highlight like I am right there with a little circle of white. Fill it in. All right, now it's time for the eyes. The eyes are like skinny ovals, one on each side. So we will go right in the middle of his left eye, the skinny oval, just like that. Do the same thing on the other side, except have this little eyebrow piece, this little scowl, cover up half of it. So go down and up, just like that. See how it's overtaken just a little bit? Next, do the same thing, draw the same shape inside of your first oval. Draw another little oval in your first oval, like a donut. And then those are his pupils. You can either fill them in or leave them or add some eye highlights if you'd like. I'm gonna go ahead and fill them in. Now, erase the top of his head. The eraser marks, the leftover pencil marks, will be our guideline for the rest of his head. So start on the top of his right eyebrow, work up just a little bit, like that, and stop right after the first mark of his first eyebrow. And then we're gonna draw his ears, which are right above his eyes. So they're like triangles with a little bend on the outside. And for this right one, or excuse me, his left one, we're gonna add his ear canal at the top with another bent triangle, just like that, with a little bend in it. Next, fill that top of his head all the way in, and we're gonna make the same ear shape, just on the other side, a little farther away and a little bit smaller so you can add the feeling of depth. Just like that, we got his 2 ears in. Now we're gonna add the spikes, which is probably the funnest part out of all this. So first, imagine that there's a line going through and start where it would end. Just like that. For his first spike, have it pretty horizontal, go down like that, right about there. Bring it back with a slight bend. See how this bottom part of the spike is bent slightly? Next, go to the second one. Have it a fuzz shorter than the first and bend down just a little more. And this third one, same as the second one, have it a little shorter than the second one and bend down even more. And it should end right at the bottom of his little mouthpiece. Right there, just like that. And then he also has a few more in the back, just like that. All right, there we go, we got his head and all the spikes in. Now we're gonna draw the body. So the body is pretty much just a big circle that tapers down at the waist. So we'll go ahead, start where the eyebrow goes straight down, draw an imaginary line, start right there. Have this big circle go down and taper off, just like that. Same thing on the other side, except leave this top space open because Sonic actually has 2 spikes on his shoulder. So we'll go ahead and draw those right now just to get it out of the way. So 1 spike here. These are a lot smaller than the head spikes. Here's the second one behind it, just like that. Then we're gonna make the body, the back of him, taper down, just like that. And Sonic on his belly has a big tan spot, so we're gonna go ahead and add that too. Start at the top, work your way down, should end right about there. And he also has a tail too, a very small tail. It's probably the smallest spike on his body. Okay, now we're gonna add the shoulders and the arms. So for the first shoulder, start about where that mouth ends, draw a half circle, and go straight out, and stop right about where those spikes end, right there. And for his hands today, we're gonna go with more of a retro style with a white circle and gloves rather than individual fingers. So bend back down, we're gonna have this hand on his waist. Come back, right there. And some of his tail is gonna get swallowed up behind his glove. Maybe all of it actually. So go ahead, draw his glove, but keep a little space in between the wrist and the hand because we actually have to add the wrist part of the glove too. So we'll go ahead and add that in now. Go ahead, finish off the arm, just like that. And then right above the arm, you wanna add a little space in between it so that it looks like you're seeing the top of his glove. Go ahead, add some of those wrinkles, just like that. Some wrinkles in there, that's the wrist part of his glove. All right, just like that, we'll have his tail poking out behind it so you can see it. Okie dokie. All right, now the next part is his other arm. We'll have it bend down slightly, and this should be about the same length as the other one. There, we'll bend it back up just a little bit. Giving us a thumbs up. Add that circle just like the other one. All right, notice how I actually connected the arm to the glove. That's not right. We should erase a little bit of that and then add in that glove part. So go ahead, finish off his forearm. Add the wrinkles into his arm on the wrist part of the glove, just like the other one. And on this hand, we'll give him a thumbs up because that's his signature stance. So go ahead, erase that first part where that wrist meets the hand. Just draw a little oval-like shape, just like that, him giving us a thumbs up. Now it is time for the legs. So we'll have Sonic in a stance that's more to his character. We won't have him very static, we'll have him more dynamic. So start where you think that body would end, at his waist, and go straight down. Straight down. We'll end his legs right about there. And the socks are pretty much the same technique as the glove. Go ahead, cut it off right there. Same thing as the gloves, except this is gonna be a little bigger. Right there. Just like that. Okie doke. Now time for his shoes. This is important. You don't want to start the shoes right where that sock ends. You want to start it a little above. So his shoe is a little weird. It's about like a half circle down like that. And his heel is more of a straight down shape. A lot more pronounced. See how this tapers off and it's more gradual? This is more sharp and defined. So we'll go ahead, connect the two. Except leave a little space right here because Sonic actually has a little piece of his shoe up in the front from the sole sticking up at the tip of his toes. And then back here, don't start the sole straight down, go up barely. So it looks like that sole is actually wrapping around his shoe. And connect those two pieces. And now it's time to add the buckles on his shoes. So go ahead, start it right where that sock ends, like right where the front is, right about there. It'll be the back part of our buckle. And make a rectangle, just like that. And fill it in like a donut too, like we did with those ovals. Just like that. Got a rectangle inside of a rectangle, and add the belt on his shoe. He's got one big striped belt. And be sure you add a bend. Don't make it straight up and down. It'll look like it's flat. You need to make it rounded so it looks like there's depth and it's three-dimensional. All right, for his second foot, we're gonna have it back and more with his heels up. So go ahead, add this little mark right there, right where his leg meets his waist. And then for his right leg, have it come straight out a little bit because his knee's gonna bend. Right about there, and we'll have it bend backwards. So if we go back just like this, going straight back, and his sock should start about right where it's covered up, so we'll have it end a little farther out. Add that wrinkle, add the other one, just like that. And this is his heel. Be sure not to start at the very end of that sock piece. So go straight down, just like that. And then make a straight line going down. And right where it hits the ground, right about there, go flat, because that's where his toes will be bent like this and his heel will be up. We'll add in the sole, just like that on the other one. And we'll only be able to see a little bit of his stripe. His buckles are only on the outside, so there's no buckle on the inside of his right foot. Going just like this. Able to see just a little bit of his stripe. Just like that, and for the final touch, erase this little back piece on that arm, and you have Sonic the Hedgehog. So I hope this found you well. Send in some emails of how you did. We'd love to give you some tips, and hope you join us next time.